Okay. Within project, we're going to start looking at what resources we need in order to complete this project. So I'm going to split the resources up into two different phases. One is going to be called human resources, and the other one are going to be called physical resources. Now, physical resources are anything else that needs to be looked at that's not human, so to speak. So I'm going to pretend that I'm in a group with 3 other people. So I'm going to say that in my group there's going to be Jim, Paul, Mary, and Alice. Okay. And then the physical resources I need, everything I need to do assignment 1 and assignment 2 all the way through right to the very end of the project. So I need everything from a computer to MS Office. I need Project 365, which is what we're dealing with right now. Okay. I need a browser and the internet. Okay. What else do I need? I need more software. So what other software might I need to be able to complete this project? Well, I have Microsoft Office, which is Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I have Project 365, which is going to be useful with my MS project or project time cost analysis. I'm also going to have Microsoft Expression, which we're going to be using to build the websites. Okay. I'm going to add in also Photoshop, which will be useful for editing images and so on. I'm going to add in a printer. I'm going to add in a scanner, scan materials. Now, I don't need to go, completely nuts on this and add electricity and tea and coffee and travel expenses to get to and from wherever I need to go. I'm not going to add those, okay? So with those kind of things in mind, I'm going to say I'm happy enough with the resources that I have there at the moment, the human resources, okay? And I'm happy enough with my physical resources. Now you've got to ask yourself a question. The way I normally split this up is, how many of these things are freely available within the college? Okay, now on the 4th floor, freely available. So yes, computers are. Yes, MS Project is. Yes, Project 365 is. A browser is. The internet is. Expression is. Okay, and a printer is. Okay, so all of those are freely available on the 4th floor. So therefore, we won't have to charge for them. Photoshop isn't freely available, and the scanner isn't freely available. Okay, so with those kind of things, they're not freely available, and the human resources aren't freely available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set everyone a task here of saying human resources, all of them, we're going to charge €50 per hour. Okay. Now this is fictitious. We're not expecting anyone that I'm going to have to pay anyone €50 per hour at the end of this. Okay. It's just useful to calculate how much it's going to cost the entire project. Photoshop and a scanner are not freely available on the 4th floor. So therefore, I'm also going to write a camera in here in case we need to take pictures. Now, I know we all have a camera on our phone, but it's not freely available on the 4th floor. So I'm going to put a little asterisk behind that. So with regards to these 3 items here, we're going to have to price them. We're either going to have to buy them or we're going to have to rent them. And my advice would always be, for instance, with a camera, you can get a cheap camera for about 80 to 100 euro. So if you were going to rent them, if your price of your rental goes over 80 or 100 euro, you should buy it. The same with the scanner. And with regards to Photoshop, you can't actually rent it. So we'll have a look at all of these things. So there are our resources that we're going to add to our resources on project. Once we've compiled a list of resources, the next thing we're going to do is add these resources to project. As we've seen, we have 4 human resources and we've quite a few physical resources. So what we're going to do is along the left hand side here, you will see the resource sheet. Okay, so I'm going to click on that there, and I'm going to start adding my resources. Okay, so the first resource I'm going to add is Jim, Mary, Paul, Alice. Okay, my 4 human resources. Then I'm going to start adding computer, MS Office, project, browser, internet, expression. As I said, expression is the package, Microsoft Expression. It's a free package that we're going to use to create our web pages. We're going to use that quite a lot as we go along. Photoshop. Printer, camera, and scanner. Now obviously this is just a mock project that I'm using. If you're using any other software, and you definitely will be using other human resources or any other hardware, you add it to this list. And anything that isn't available on the 4th floor, you add a price to it. Anything else, you leave it as it is. So I'm going to turn around in Jim and see Jim at the moment, we're going to say €50 per hour. Don't worry the fact that these are actually in dollars. We're going to change that before we finish up to euros. And you can see here, Mary costs €50 per hour. Paul, €50 per hour. And Alice, €50 per hour. And there are only human resources. Everyone is getting paid a flat rate of €50 per hour. You could turn around if you want to, you could add overtime rates and so on in there. We're not going to do that. So computer is available on the 4th floor. MS Office is available, freely available to us. Our project is, browser is, the internet is, okay? Microsoft Expression is. Photoshop isn't, okay? So what I'm actually going to do is, I looked it up this morning, and the price of Photoshop is €294.97 per year. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another resource in here. I'm going to say Photoshop buy, and I'm going to put that in as 97. I'm going to just jump in here and say cost, instead of per hour, which is what I put it in as, I'm going to put it in 0 per hour, and I'm going to put it in as per use cost of $294.97. Okay. All right. That's a per use cost of that, not a standard rate cost. So that means that we're going to use that once a year. We're going to put in Photoshop buy on the same date every year. And if the project takes longer than a year, well, then it'll add a second one, a third one, and fourth one. And if it doesn't, it's fine as well. We're also going to do the same with camera buy. I looked up the price of a very, very basic camera this morning, and we're talking about a simple €100 to buy it, okay? And as I said, I won't worry about the fact that these are dollars for the moment, okay? Okay, so there's all our resources. We've added them to our resource database. We've added the costs of what we need to add costs on. So what I'm going to do is go back to the Gantt chart. And I'm just going to turn around here, and I'm not going to do this for everyone. You will have to do this for everyone, but you'll get the idea fairly quickly. I'm going to just look at my micro level tasks again. I'm not going to look at the macros, I'm looking at the micros. And underneath resources, I'm just going to click here. And I'm going to say who will be doing this task. And I'm going to say, right, for brainstorming, I'm going to say all 4 members. All right. And Paul. I'm going to say I need a computer and I need MS Office because I'm going to put it into Word or whatever, okay? So they add in there, and that's simply adding the tasks. You can see them over here on the Gantt chart. You can see the 4 members plus the computer and plus that MS Office, okay? Secondary research, I'm going to say Alice and Paul are going to do this, okay? But I'm also going to say they need a computer, they need the internet, they need a browser, and they need MS Office to be able to take notes on what they're doing, okay? Now, if they need something else, that's fine too. Primary research, I'm going to just split it up and I'm going to say Alice and Paul did that, so therefore Jim and Mary are going to do the primary research. They might do it online, they might do it face-to-face interviews. It's up to yourself what they're going to do. We're going to say internet, we're going to say computer is needed, we're going to say browser is needed, and we're going to say MS Office is needed, okay? Back in here, MS Office, internet, browser, okay. Right, so as I said, I'm not going to go down through every single task. I'm just going to show you how a few things are added here. I'm not going to go down, I should do this for every task, every micro level task. A human being has got to be added to it, with the exception of ones that have 0 days. So somebody's got to be in charge or associated with each of these tasks. So think about these things. I'm going to just jump into where we are right now, time cost analysis. I'm going to say, listen, what do we need? We definitely need a computer. We definitely need project, okay? We definitely need, you might need a browser and you might need the internet in order to be able to look up certain costs and different things like that, okay? And I'm going to also turn around and say you need to apply somebody to it. So I'm going to say Paul is our accountant, so we'll throw him in there, okay? And the same with all of these, okay? When I get down to something like storyboards, I'm just going to turn around and say, listen, for a storyboard, I'm going to use a camera, and therefore I have to buy the camera. Now you only buy it once for the year, or for forever, because it's a once-off payment. I'm going to use a browser, I'm going to use the internet, I'm going to use a computer, and because I'm dealing with graphical, I'm going to buy Photoshop and I'm going to use Photoshop, okay? But also I'm going to turn around and say who's going to do that. I'm going to say Mary and Alice are going to do that, okay? I'm just going to go in here for the flow chart. I'm just going to say, mixing things up here, Jim and Paul are going to do that. Obviously, you'll be putting a little bit more time and effort into thinking about which individual should do tasks, because Paul might be a very good designer, but might be terrible at maths or something like that, or terrible at, at understanding time costs and so on. So you might turn around and say, what's the best way of looking at these kind of things, okay? So flow chart, I'm going to say internet. I'm going to say add Paul and a computer here and a camera. I don't need to buy the camera a second time because I've already bought it, okay? I'm going to add Photoshop. I don't need to buy it a second time. I've already bought it, okay? So that's why I've split Photoshop buy and Photoshop. Once I've bought it, I can use Photoshop as often as I want. And once I've bought the camera, I can use the camera as often as I want without accruing any more costs, okay? So browser, and Alice is going to help out there, okay? So I go down through all of these, and literally every single one of them, content creation, I'm going to just do these last two. Every single subtask, every single micro level task should have resources attached to it. So the content creation, you need a camera, you need a browser, you need Alice and Jim are going to do it, you need the internet. I'm going to say I'm going to use Expression here for the first time. And because it's free, I don't need to buy it. I'm going to use MS Office, okay? And I'm going to use, I have a camera associated, I'm going to use Photoshop, okay? And finally, content implementation, I'm going to say Mary and Paul are going to do it. We're going to definitely need Expression because that's where it's going to be most commonly used. We're going to use a camera, we're going to use Photoshop. We're going to use a browser, we're going to use the internet. We're going to use MS Office here as well, just to keep us in tabs. So I was just showing you a very simple way of adding all of these tasks to it. Now you need to add it to every single, as I said, micro level task at least, okay? Now the beauty of doing this is we've actually reached the end of our project, okay? And we will now know exactly who does what, how long it takes, when we're going to be finished, how much it's going to cost, how long each task should take, when each task should start and finish, and who should do each task and what resources we need for each task. So there's quite a bit involved here, okay? And the beauty of this is we don't have to worry about adding up different things. We add resources to each task and it will automatically calculate the overall price of our project. So what I'm just going to quickly look at here, what everyone will need to do is save this file and send it to me. Okay. Before I do that, I'm just going to go into file here for a second and I'm going to go options and I'm going to go into currency and change this to euro. CDE. Euro, okay, and I go okay. Now you can now see that if I look at this, you'll see when I get into the actual budget, etc., that my costs are now saved in euros. Okay, so I'll show you in a second how to save this file and where to save it to and how you can send it on to me. Okay, so in this case here, I'm going to have a look at just reports here. Once you send the file to me, you don't have to print these reports. I will be able to look at them to see exactly where you stand. So I'm just going to have a look at a few reports here just to show you how useful this is. So I'm going to go cost and budget report and select. Okay. So with this, I'm going to open this up and you can see that the total cost of my project. Now I know I haven't added resources to every single task. When I have, this will be a lot more. You can see is €5,994. Okay. The baseline variance, what they mean is the baseline is the first time you save it and then the second time and the third time. So if we change different tasks, you'll see the difference between our original projections and it'll show you the variance. It'll show you the original projections, what our total costs are now, and if there's a difference between them. Okay. And remaining just means when I start ticking off tasks, you'll see exactly how much left I have to do. Okay. So I'm just going to close that down. I'm going to go back in here, have a look at a different report. I'm going to go into assignments and then who does what. Okay, so if I go who does what, you can now see that if I look at Jim, you can see Jim is doing 25 hours work and what he's involved in. So that would be useful to give to Jim once we've attached all of our resources to all of our tasks. And you can see Mary is on 28 hours and what she's working. Paul is on 28 hours and what he's working, and Alice is on 30 hours and what she's working, and so on. And then you can actually go down through it and see each of the tasks and the projects and so on. So there's 2 pages. You can move on to the next page here and you can see different things and you can see how much we're using different resources and so on. Just to draw your attention to this, okay, at the moment I have Jim working 25 hours and maximum Alice working 30 hours. I will be looking at this because I'll be expecting each of your group members to be working in and around the same amount of hours. Okay. Now, to be quite honest, 25 and 30 hours are, it's a big difference without being a huge difference. So just keep in mind that I will expect these numbers to be in and around the same amount. Okay. So I don't expect somebody to be twice the amount of somebody else, 68 hours for one and 30 hours for the other, or whatever the case might be, because that just shows that you're not managing your project as best you can. So I will keep that in mind. And then finally, I'm just going to have a look at the last one I'm going to look at here will be I'm going to go workload here and resources. Okay. And you can see again, same kind of thing with this one here, but you'll be able to see what weeks they're working. Okay. And you can see when you're needing different people. So you can see how many hours a week certain things are going to be used and so on. Okay. So it's very smart here. So you can see 3 hours a week is the most that you can use a person, whereas you can use resources more than that because we've got many versions of Office, many versions of computers, and so on. So it's very smart now. It works out the whole thing. So with that in mind, I'm just going to save this and show you how you save it. Because every one of you will be sending on a file to me, or each group will be sending. So save as. I'm going to save it to my computer as per normal here. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Just keep it nice and simple. I'm going to call it Project Horn. Okay. And you can see it saving as an MPP file, which will be opened by MS Project or opened by Project 365. It'll open the same files and deal with them the same way. And you will deal with Project in the exact same way as you will deal with Microsoft Project in regards to how you use it and so on. So I'll just save that there. And that's the file that you'll send on to me. So along with your assignment 1 and along with other things that you'll be sending on to me. Okay. Back to the PowerPoint. So, you know, with this in mind, you'll be able to look at what's going on, whether you're using Project Plan 365 either online or download, and the same with Microsoft Project, you can download it as well and deal with it. So this is just looking at Kilmainham Jail's example as just to finish off the whole idea of Microsoft Project, and you can see that quite often they'll have the same kind of subtasks themselves. You'll see that the main tasks are exactly the same as the ones we were using. You'll see that they have different people involved, and you can see obviously who was using, who was required in different times and so on. Okay, and then obviously they'll have the same kind of reports. As long as you send me that project file, I'll be able to dive into those. I don't need to actually print them out or attach them to your Word document or anything like that. So you can see the start date and the finish date. And remember, your finish date must be within the submission dates for assignment 1 and assignment 2. Remember, keep that in mind. And remember also that you're actually, while the Microsoft Project or the project file is part of assignment 1, it covers the entirety of your project. It's not just looking at how long assignment 1 is going to take. It's also looking at the actual design, publication, promotion, and so on. Okay, so that's our time cost analysis, and it's the final area within the analysis section. And really what you've got then after looking at the 5 sections is, at this stage, you know what you want because you're looking at your aims and objectives, how long it's going to take because you're looking at your time cost analysis, how much it's going to cost because you're looking at your time cost analysis, where you're going to get your resources because your project information will look at that, and then who it's for with regards to your audience profile. So you've got a huge amount of your project outline done. So you'd have a huge amount of knowledge as to what it is you're trying to achieve, when it's going to be done, who's going to do it, what's going to be done, and so on. Okay, and that will bring us neatly on to the end of the analysis phase and going into the next stage, which is planning. And the planning stage will look at specifically what's going to happen on your website with regards to the content and so on.